Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. You know, when you do a movie like this, fun disaster movie, once production was completed, does it give you a new perspective to not only to the weather reports you see on TV, but to the people who actually do this in real life? Storm chasers.
I think that was one thing when I worked with Bill Paxton years ago, and one of the things that I picked up from Bill is he had shot 2 movies that really impacted the way he kind of saw the world going forward. And one was Twister and one was Apollo 13. And he was so passionate about the weather and about space. And I think that's what's really fun about this job is like you immerse yourself into these worlds and these communities and they become part of you. You know, it changes the way you see the world and your curiosity about certain things. And I think what's really fun is we got to become friends with real storm chasers, real meteorologists, the people that run the National Weather Center and NOAA. These are all people that we're on text threads with, right? So we're getting updates about what's happening in, you know, in Oklahoma and what, you know, cells are brewing where. And I feel like that's been the fun part, is these become friends of yours and it changes the way you kind of orient with the natural world.
I'm looking at the dialogue, you guys are spilling out the jargon, and I goes, it's almost like rap music. Not everybody can do it, you know? So how many takes did it take you to say like all these technical words and getting it right, Anthony?
It took a few. I mean, you know, and there was some fact checking too. We you know, and kind of look over to our consultants, be like, hey, is this right? Am I saying this correctly? Or if I like switch this one line or these 2 or 3 lines and say them this way, is that still correct? Is that still something that you'd say? You know, or that's something you'd understand and is factual? And they'd be like, yeah, or no, you would never say that. So, but it was tough. It was tough, especially that first scene where I'm talking to you about how the storm par radar works and like what it does, and you know, really trying to explain to Kate. I'm trying to explain to Daisy like what I want her to do and why I need her to come back with me to Oklahoma, and what this new technology is and what it, you know, all of that was pretty challenging, you know.
And yourself?
Yeah, I would say I sort of expected the stunts and the, you know, big special effects would be the hardest thing to sort of work with, but actually it was just trying to look like you knew what you were talking about. Yeah, and but like Anthony said, we had consultants there who were able to help and be like, yeah, you know, you got it or you didn't. But yeah, I mean, it was sort of amazing, but like Glenn said, it's so wonderful to like, you know, learn about something, and we actually went chasing for real recently, and it was because we're friends with a bunch of storm chasers, and it was amazing how accurate it was, like the way they spoke and the gear that they were using and the thrill of it all. I was like, wow, we actually did capture it truly in our film. So yeah, it was wicked.
There's always a battle to get an audience in theaters because now we have a crazy amount of streamers. Each of you have had films released in the summer, which is great because sometimes there's a time period where there's nothing in competition. What's it like to have this movie come out where it's actually, if it's not based on a book or a previous film, you can come back and say, hey, it's coming out in Twisters this summer, and people are looking forward to seeing it?
I mean, I think this movie was designed to be the perfect summer movie, you know, and it's really, look, this movie is like, it contains all the elements that you want in a summer movie. You know, it's like, it's adventurous, it's thrilling. It goes to sort of like, there's sort of this like, instead of, yeah, science fiction, it's sort of like, you know, what, science reality, what do we call it? but it's like, it's such a fun world to occupy, and it does contain all the elements you want for a summer blockbuster. And I think we've gotten such a kick out of watching this movie with audiences, because there's no better feeling than as an actor than walking out of a theater, seeing the world in a different way, and watching people high-five each other or sing the soundtrack or quote lines. It's like, it's that kind of movie. It's why we all got into this thing.
Congrats on your roles. Congrats on the film. Obviously, people are looking forward to seeing it. I'm sure I'll talk to you down the road in your next projects.
All right.
Man, all right. See you again, bro.
Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. When you finish production of this movie, how much perspective do you now have for the people who actually do this in real life?
Do storm chasing?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think it's terrifying and it's incredible because there's a lot of research that they have to do in order to even know where a storm is going to be. And they're so into it and so aggressive about it and so like in love with just storms in general that alone was something I didn't realize. So I love that about it, but I also just mad respect for anyone that wants to get close to a tornado because I'm from Indiana. Whenever I saw the sky turn green, the weather change, whatever, I went into a basement and as far away as I could from it. So,
Having said all of that, and you think about your character, Danny, what makes her want to be part of Tyler's team?
I think it's a team that is altruistic and they want to help people, and I think that's what she's mostly about. You know, she likes to help provide supplies for people who are in a time of need, but also is just kind of a tornado geek. So, yeah.
I was at Sundance earlier this year. You've had a big year between Love Lies Bleeding, the work you've done on TV. What goes into saying yes to the projects you take? Each one is totally different from the other.
Yeah, I'm trying to do more variety. I don't want to get stuck in one particular genre, and I feel like oftentimes that's where people want to put me. So like the superhero genre, the sci-fi world, which I still do love, but I feel like people ignore the fact that people that look like me can also be just normal, everyday human beings. And so that's kind of where I'm focusing right now. But look, if a really amazing, sci-fi or really niche superhero show pops up, I'm not going to say no. It's all about the writing and the team. And this movie in particular, I worked with Lee Isaac Chung. I love him, and I wanted to work with him again, and will in the future if I ever get the opportunity.
Having said that, with the different type of diverse work you're doing, when you work on a project like this, and I always say actors can never stop learning, is there anything you got from working on this movie, skill set wise, that you can take on to whatever project you do next?
We lived in a hotel for 3 months, I think, for this movie. So I now know how to basically live out of a microwave and a mini fridge. That's one thing. It actually took a long time to figure out. So I've got like a whole system set up on how to wash my dishes and how to prepare and eat healthy and all of that. For this though, it was interesting. Isaac wanted to shoot practically. So we're out in the middle of coordinates. We're not at an address. We are at a coordinate in just dirt roads and in the middle of what feels like nowhere. And it was a really interesting, unique way and kind of retro way to shoot something like this, where I'm more used to being in a blue screen or, in a studio. So that it was just kind of like learning how they troubleshoot. And then, still while we're dealing with real environmental issues, dust kicking up and, I'm trying to say my lines and I'm coughing, whatever. Just trying to stay in the moment, stay in the zone, and still pretend that there's a tornado in front of me when it's 200 degrees outside and there's not a gust of wind around yeah.
So congrats on the role.
Thank you.
Congrats on the film. Like I said, you're doing different things. Nobody knows what, so wherever I see you next, we'll talk then.
It's got some fun projects coming out for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Wilson Morales from Black Film and TV. When you do a movie like this and when production is completed, do you think about the people who actually have these roles in real life, whether they're a storm chaser or a reporter, reporting on tornadoes, to get a perspective of how these things really run? Do you have a perspective now as far as the people that actually cover tornadoes?
Yeah. Because a lot of the people in the film were proper
Actual
storm
chasers,
chasers. And so having conversations with them and stuff, and then even watching it back, it's so wild to then, wow, they got to play themselves. But yeah, it's crazy that in all this, in the videos, you'd show us a lot of videos of actual proper storm
chasers out there in the field.
Yeah.
I think what's crazy is just the commitment to protect people as well. Yes, there's the people being intrigued and the spectacle of seeing a tornado, but it's all for research to try to help, because there's so much unknown about these crazy weather scenarios, and they're on the clock 24 hours a day, because a tornado can touch down in the middle of the night and crush a town. So they're just trying to figure out the ways to get the response time as fast as possible, and they're putting their lives on the line every day, and I just appreciate that commitment. That's something I didn't know just walking around in the world, that there's people out there that commit their lives to this research, and just very appreciative for that.
Yeah, it's not just adrenaline.
Yeah.
That's the right word, committed. And then I look at your characters. You're pretty much happy-go-lucky. You're in it for the long haul. Did you guys give yourselves a backstory as far as what makes them want to be there? To chase these tornadoes, knowing the risk.
I think I feel like the essence, especially with our crew, the Wranglers, and the fact that we do give back and we are trying to help after the devastation and stuff like that. I think that was just in the back of the mind of we're so stoked and excited because yes, this is fun and what we do, but it's also for like such a bigger reason.
Yeah.
That's why going into it isn't something that we're just kind of hesitant about or gonna consider it boring, because essentially we're gonna do a lot of good. So you might as well just go into it like a lot of heart.
Yeah, I feel that in the same sense where it's like, yes, we're going to have a good time and a blast doing it, because that's what I've learned from a lot of these storm chasers and meteorologists. They love what they do. There's so much passion and there's so much drive, but they also understand the danger of it and how humans can be in harm, but they're also excited to see this thing and learn more about it. And I think that's just the aspect we wanted to put in it for, the Wranglers, of like, we're having fun, but we're also here to help, you know?
Your character is the one on the video. The one that makes Tyler famous.
Yeah.
You know, do you see yourself, especially when it comes to social media, putting yourself on video to see like how this is going to play out?
Oh man, not for me. I mean, like for me personally, Brandon, I don't want Brandon anywhere out there. I'm like, I like hiding behind a character. So hiding behind someone like Boone is great. And learning a lot from watching the chasers that do YouTube is just the excitement and the thrill ride that there's just like this animalistic roar when a tornado actually happens. And that's just like the fun nature that I wanted to bring to Boone. And just amping it up all the way. But me filming myself, no way. I'll film Boone all day. But Brandon, no one would watch it. They'd be like, boring as.
And then when it comes to your character, you know, you're operating a drone, and which is like playing a video game. Did you get to do that? Was it all just CGI?
No, they actually let me play with it a little bit and like kind of learn the ropes and stuff. And I also watched a few like YouTube shows just so I wouldn't look like an idiot. But nah, it was sick flying it, but it's so heavy and also expensive. So I was like, let me hand you back the remote.
Remember when I threw it, dude? I threw it and it like hit the thing.
It's crazy.
Like, at the end of the day, you know, you guys have done your share of work, but when it comes to saying yes to the projects you take, what is the ultimate thing that says, I'll do it? Whether it be the characters you're playing, the actors you're working with, or the time and the location which you can do it in?
Probably my connection with the director.
Yep.
That's, you know, that one helps me. Do I trust this? Is it going to be in good hands? Are we going to be able to have a connection? Because it's like a really big driving force. So if I've ever been on the fence about something, the director is usually what kind of sells me of like yes and no.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm so director driven. That's like my driving force is if I'm a fan of the director, or if like they just earn my trust by watching their art and seeing if we can collaborate and do something together to find something
first
cool.
Conversation,
Yeah, I'm director driven.
Congrats on the roles. Congrats on
Cheers.
the film. I'm sure I'll see you down the road on other projects. We'll talk later.
Cheers. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.